Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
WrestleMania has had it all. Celebrities, sports figures, MMA fighters, icons, and even future presidents multiple times. There have been cage matches, ladder matches, Hell in a Cell matches, street fight, and lingerie pillow fight matches. But I am Luke Owen, and for all the event's spectacle, here are 4 WrestleMania matches that will never happen again. WrestleMania 21 didn't just have a major changing of the guard, with both Batista and John Cena winning their first world championships. It also had an awful sumo match between Akebono and The Big Show. Akebono was a great sumo wrestler and was the first non-Japanese born wrestler to reach Yokozuna, the highest rank of sumo wrestling, not the 90s WWF wrestler. The match had quite a lot of hype around it, but the crowd booed it out of the building when the traditional pre-match salt throwing and mind games became tiresome. The match itself was just a lot of hand slapping, with the finish being Akebono using a hip toss to throw Show out. But the match did have one fan, if only by default, with Brian Alvarez writing in his review, "No real rating, but I will say this was Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle compared to Christy Hemme versus Trish Stratus." Surprisingly, this wasn't Akebono's only time in the WWE, as he teamed with The Big Show at a house show against Carlito and Matt Morgan, and he won championships in All Japan Pro Wrestling and Dragon Gate. But for all his accomplishments, there hasn't been a sumo match at WrestleMania since, and this is probably the reason why. Barca versus Butterbean from WrestleMania 15 was the culmination of the infamous Brawl for All tournament, a series of televised shoot fights, meaning that wrestlers actually physically beat each other up, which unsurprisingly caused more injuries than created stars. And who did Gunn face for winning his matches? One of the toughest men on the planet in heavyweight boxer Butterbean, who, by this point in his career, had 36 knockouts and 18 tough man contest wins. But this wasn't a boxing match. This wasn't a wrestling match. This was a fight. Rumours have been rife around this match, with many speculating that it was punishment for Gunn winning Brawl for All. The story goes that Jim Ross wanted to use the tournament to launch the WWF career of Dr. Death Steve Williams, who was then planned to feud with WWF champion Steve Austin. However, Williams got knocked out by Bart Gunn in the second round, who creative had no plans for. With WrestleMania approaching, WWF got Gunn into training fast. They took him off the road for months to train in boxing and turn him into a real boxer. And then we'll put him in with Butterbean and it will put over wrestling because we'll have a wrestler beat a pay-per-view guy. Head writer at the time, Vince Russo, confirms this. With the presentation he put on in the Brawl for All, we really thought he could have beat Butterbean, or else we wouldn't have put the guy in the ring. Instead, Butterbean won the match in a matter of seconds by knockout. The WWF were genuinely not expecting this to be as one-sided as it was, and were very embarrassed by the results. Gunn himself has said he's only seen the match once, the replay shown on the night, but maintains that he still could beat Butterbean. "They wouldn't let me lift weight. I dropped like 25 to 30 pounds. Because of the training I was doing, I was uncomfortable. I was green. Even before the fight, I didn't feel right. I wish I could take it back and redo the whole thing. I'd do it my way. Same thing might happen, but I would have been happier." WrestleMania X7 is considered by many to be the best Mania of all time. It had a thrilling hardcore match, Vince vs Shane, the end of Right to Censor, TLC 2, and Steve Austin shaking hands with Vince McMahon to become the new WWF champion in a hell of a main event. But there's another match it's very notable for, the Gimmick Battle Royal. What's a Gimmick Battle Royal, I hear you ask? Well, it was a self-aware poke of fun at the WWF gimmicks of old. All the wild and wacky ones you remember from your childhood were there. Dustbin men, clowns, repo men who do not look like me, hockey players, racial profiling, soldiers, turkeys, TNA creative, sailors, and oddly James E. Cornette. The match also featured 4 men who the previous year had featured in a tag team match that was so bad, Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 gave it, minus all the stars in the universe, and the universe is in infinite. The match was over before it even begun, with the entrances lasting longer than the Battle Royal itself. In the end, the Iron Sheik won by throwing Sergeant Slaughter and Hillbilly Jim over the top rope. Cornette lasted longer than Repo Man, who does not look like me. The original plan was for Slaughter to win, which is why at the end of the Battle Royal he puts Sheik in the Cobra Clutch. But the Master of Humble had to win because he couldn't leave his feet. Sheik won, literally, because he may have died taking a bump over the top rope to the outside. So why hasn't there been another Gimmick Battle Royal? Surely there's a place for matadors, Irish stereotypes, Undertaker knockoffs, pimps, vampires, poorly thought out 50s sitcom parodies. But with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, there probably isn't enough time on the WrestleMania card anymore, even if it is 7 hours long. Another Battle Royal now, but this one was very different. During the Chicago section of WrestleMania 2, an event that took place in 3 different locations, members of the NFL took on WWF wrestlers in a very publicized match, particularly because it featured Refrigerator Jones, who was a cultural icon at the time. The match even featured Dallas Cowboy hero Too Tall Jones as a guest referee, alongside Chicago Bears legend Dick Butkus. Fun fact, Dick Butkus would go on to be a coach for the Chicago Enforcers in Vince McMahon's XFL. Another fun fact, Dick Butkus is a hilarious name. Like most Battle Royals, the match was pretty slow and uninteresting, but did feature one great spot where Big John Studd eliminated Refrigerator Jones, who then pulled him out of the ring via a handshake. As for the rest of the players, there isn't a whole lot to say, apart from former Pittsburgh Steelers defensive tackle Ernie Holmes, who upset many in WWF during the practice Battle Royal the night before. For whatever reason, he was mouthing off, saying wrestling is fake and I could beat all you guys. And Andre goes up to him and goes, "You talk too much." They had to talk Ernie Holmes down, and some of the wrestlers go, "You don't want to mess with this guy." All of the NFL guys were just thrown out at various points, and it wasn't even put over on commentary. The final 3 ended up being the Hart Foundation and Andre himself. So would this match ever happen again? Probably not, because the NFL would never allow it. But do you remember when Vince McMahon made Trish Stratus bark like a dog on Raw? And what are Ollie Davis and my predictions for WWE Battlegrounds? Find out more by clicking the videos to the left. Press subscribe and support WrestleTalk on Patreon. I have been Luke Owen, and that was a list.